Hello, my name is Stefan. I am one of the authors of Eddie and the Lizard Man. In the last video, I read chapter 1 where Eddie took note of some strange whirring noises coming from the back office where his boss Kevin works. He also found a really large reptilian skin shedding, but finds that odd because he's never once seen a snake on the premises. Now, are these just trivial observations, or could they be clues to something much more sinister? Well, let's find out as we continue the story of Eddie and the Lizard Man. Chapter 2. The Nail in the Coffin. Eddie was hunched over out of sight when someone's voice filled the room. "Hello? Is anybody here?" This word was not your typical hello. It had been turned into 3 syllables that were more sung than spoken, like hello. That someone was a middle-aged woman named Susan, who strolled into the shop with her heels clicking confidently toward the front counter. She wore overpowering lilac perfume and carried a gold snakeskin handbag. Susan sold antiques online and often brought items into the store for Eddie's boss, Kevin, to appraise. She was a serious individual, and due to her stern countenance, Eddie found himself intimidated by her. Understandably, the ensuing interaction was one that Eddie had hoped to avoid entirely, and he would have done so had Susan arrived a mere 8 minutes later. Unfortunately, that's not what happened, and any chance of this shift ending as one of the good ones had been lost. So, letting out a sigh of defeat, Eddie put the pen and pad back into his pocket with his newly found particularly interesting snakeskin and hesitantly revealed himself from behind the bookcase. "Back here." "Oh, hi, Eddie," she called from across the room, her voice dripping with disappointment. "Where's Kevin?" "He's in the back," Eddie replied flatly. Eddie fumbled through a cluster of tables that seemed to be purposely trying to hinder him from reaching the service counter. Susan, on the other hand, moved quite unhindered toward the same destination. Each step from her emerald green high heels sounded like a hammer, striking a nail into the coffin representing her low estimation of Eddie. At least, that's the way her footsteps sounded to him. As he rounded the last table, a flustered Eddie accidentally bumped a lamp sitting near the table's edge. The lamp toppled. Thankfully, Eddie had quick reflexes and caught the fragile merchandise before any damage was done. But by the time he had returned the lamp back to its place, Susan had taken her final steps and arrived at the counter. On hearing the last step of her heel hit the stained vinyl floor, Eddie felt that his fumbling had resulted in yet another rusty nail being set in that proverbial coffin of the woman's low appraisal of him. He wondered how many more nails were going to be set before Susan decided the lid had been sufficiently sealed. Letting out a sigh of resignation, Eddie plastered onto his face a very, very, very superficial smile. The kind of smile that says, "I'm smiling on the outside, but frowning on the inside." Yes, it was with that kind of smile that Eddie finished the journey from the bookcase to the counter, where Susan was impatiently awaiting his arrival. So Eddie was this close to having the perfect shift, but at the last moment, Susan shows up and ruins any chances of that happening. But what about you? Have you ever had a situation like that where you were hoping something would go a certain way and then it didn't? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below. I actually think that we can learn a lot about ourselves when we consider how we respond to situations that don't go the way that we wanted them to. Also, remember that you can get your own copy of Eddie and the Lizard Man by clicking the links in the description box below. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe. And join me next time as we continue the story of Eddie and the Lizard Man in Chapter 3, 5 Measly Minutes. Stay curious.